Hello, everyone. This is the first podcast or first tutorial for a simulation library, a discrete event simulation library in Python called simpy. So let me just pull up. I already have it pulled up, but let me show you where I got this from. So I go to Google, just type simpy. The first link shows me where it is. So this is essentially a library. So let's take a look and see what this is. As the name suggests, simpy is a process-based discrete event simulation framework based on standard Python, and this is actually pretty critical within simpy, where processes in simpy are defined by Python generator functions and may, for example, be used to model active components like customers, vehicles, or agents. So let me close this and show for a second what this really means. Let's take an example. So one of the simplest example is, before we get to the example, let me show you how to install it in case you don't already have it installed. So it should be as simple as pip install simpy. Since I already have it installed, it shows requirement already satisfied. So let me just go ahead and close this. The first step is, of course, importing the library. Import simpy. Shows that we have indeed imported it. So let's start with a simple example. So what this is going to do is we are going to, and this is an example which is there in the documentation. So the first example will be a car process. So what it is going to do is the car will alternately drive and park for a while. When it starts driving or parking, it will print the current simulation time. So start with function def car env. So what is env? Env is a simpy environment. So what that means is you're essentially defining an instance of the simpy environment in which you're going to run the simulation. So let's start a while loop, while true. And this example is there on the documentation. So print start parking at %d %env.now, and I'm going to go through this line by line. Parking duration equal to 5, yield v dot timeout, parking duration. So let's pause for a moment and take a look at what we did here. So like we were talking about previously, simpy has a simulation environment, and one of the properties of that environment is, of course, take into account the time, because that would be pretty important in a discrete event simulation. So what we see here is start parking at %d %env.now. So that means that at that moment is going to say start parking at whatever that time unit is. Now, one thing to notice that in simpy we do not specify whether it's in minutes, seconds, hours, etc. It just takes into account some kind of a time interval, and we don't necessarily define it. So when I say parking duration equal to 5, I mean it could be minutes, hours, anything. Let's take a look at this one. Yield env.timeout parking duration. Now this is probably one of the most critical components of the simpy library, where it is essentially introducing a delay. So yield env.timeout parking duration. So what that means is there's going to be a delay of parking duration. So here we defined it as 5. Let's, for the sake of simplicity, let's say that this 5 is in minutes. So that means that there will be a delay of 5 minutes when it is parking. So let's construct the other part. Let's start driving. So print start driving at %t %env dot now. Trip duration equal to 2. Yield env dot timeout trip duration. So what we did here was we introduce another process essentially. So this was the first process, parking, and the second process is the trip or the driving time. So what it says is start driving at env now. So let's take for example like a car. We're supposed to park, so it's parked for 5 minutes, and then after that, say start at time t equal to 0 minutes, you park for 5 minutes, and you start driving at t equal to 5. So then you introduce another delay of 2 minutes for which the car is essentially driving. Now, so this is essentially the process. Now we are going to define the state of the program. Let's see. So let's first define the environment, the simulation environment, env. Well, we are using env because we have named it here. env equal to simpy dot environment. Next one is, let's run the process. So we are essentially running the process. env, defining the process, the car. Car env. Next is env dot run until. So what we did here was we defined the simulation environment, we essentially define the process, and then define the runtime. Could have done something like this also. Pardon me, equal to 15. Should also work. Save it, run. So you can see what it did. That's it for this episode. I'll catch up later. Thank you.